Good morning. We're here to walk through the 2020 Tech Transfer Days quad chart workshop. I'm just getting things set up here so that I can share my screen and we can get going here. Let's see. There's that. Hopefully you're seeing the screen now. Okay. So thank you and welcome to the Quad Chart Development and Refinement workshop presentation. I'm going to go through this rather quickly, but hopefully it will provide you with a few points that will help you further develop your quad chart for the Tech Scouting event this September. My name is Traci Hancock, and myself and Josh Nickel-Caddy from Nebraska Business Development Center are both available to help you with your quad chart and other materials. So please feel free to just reach out to us as needed. So first of all, I want to do a quick Technology Transfer Day overview. Remember, this is an opportunity to get in front of several different technology scouts from across the Department of Defense, as well as several federal agencies. You will be able to present to them using a poster or a longer pitch presentation. The determination of which one you will do is going to be based on your innovations technology readiness level. One is not better or worse than the other one. It's just simply a way for us to divide the group of presenters and also give the technology scouts a way to determine the types of feedback and comments that are appropriate for the level of development that you are presenting. Everybody that is part of this event will be presenting, will be developing a quad chart, an information paper, which is about 2 pages in length. It's really not much longer than that at all. A poster, and then of course, those of you that are going to do a pitch presentation, you will be creating a pitch deck. All of these elements do have templates for you to work from, and most of them will be provided to you in draft form based on the responses you provided in your Tech Transfer Day sign up or application. The benefit of participating in this event is, again, that you are going to be sitting in front of technology scouts from across the country. This will be a hybrid virtual and in-person event. So I hope that you guys are willing to be a little bit patient with us as we sort of figure out what are certain to be some complexities with the virtual participants and getting their feedback, but we will definitely work through that. This feedback is valuable for a number of reasons. One in particular is this feedback will allow you to update all of your materials in a manner that will benefit you when the technology scouts then after the event socialize your materials. And what that means is that the tech scouts will come together, they will review your pitch, your poster, your quad chart, your information paper, and they will come up with a list of potential customers within the government sphere that they feel may be receptive to your innovation. They will then send an email to all of these potential customers that will include you. All of your materials will be included in that email, as well as all of the specific contact information of everybody that is on that email. So that is sort of the final activity that the Technology Scout will do for you. It's this blast out to a network of potential customers, and then it will be up to you to follow up with those individually at your leisure. So the first element of these materials is the quad chart. I'm sure many of you have done quad charts before, either for academic purposes or for investment purposes. This quad chart is templated specifically for this technology scouting event, As we mentioned in the July 8th presentation, tech scouting events occur across the country. There's a large network of organizations that put these events on, and there's a large network of technology scouts that participate in these when they are available and able to do so. It's important for the tech scouts that all of the materials at each and every event, whether it's in Ohio, Nebraska, New York, wherever, look the same so that they can easily and quickly find the information that they need in order to determine how best to provide you valuable feedback and move you forward into the customer sphere. So this is the required template for technology transfer days. I'm going to go through this quad chart, quadrant by quadrant here in a moment, but I want to remind everybody that, you know, obviously when the technology scouts send out this email at the end of the event, the quad chart, the information paper, the presentation, they all have to stand on their own. So they need to be able to communicate the value of your innovation clearly and succinctly and in a manner that is easily digestible, because you're not going to be able to stand there and answer questions for them. So remember that this quad chart is a tool for synthesizing your technology or product, and it's somebody at a layman's level should be able to read it and clearly understand your innovation, your customer, and you know what it is you're asking for. So, oops, I went backwards, sorry. Okay, so let's go into the first quadrant, the upper left quadrant, technology and capability overview. The most important thing about this particular quadrant is this is where you really need to capture their interest, make them want to keep reading, use simple language that anyone can understand. You know, this first launch part is your most important sentence, I think, or one or two sentences. And excuse me, that is going to be what is the clearest description of the technology and its technical operation and capabilities that you can devise, right? Clear, simple, and easy. You want to capture their interests and have them continue reading. So I have a couple of examples from past quad charts that I thought did a nice job. So we have Company X. They provide behavioral and mental health care for distant communities over a HIPAA-compliant video platform. I think that clearly states exactly what they do, who they do it for, and one of the benefits of their particular solution, which is that it's HIPAA compliant, and that would be important to this particular customer. Company Z improves focus and communication in medical operating rooms during life-saving situations. So I think you can see where a solution that can improve an individual's ability to focus on the patient in a medical setting would be useful and appropriate for the Department of Defense. Focusing on what your technology can do for the customer. This is not a technical description. In fact, in this quad chart, I would avoid technical descriptors. Many of the people who will be reviewing these materials after the tech scouting event may not be technical. So they will have to understand what it is you're talking about with you using layman's language. Otherwise, you might lose them and you may lose an opportunity to develop a customer. So what benefits and advantages is your specific customer going to gain by adopting this particular innovation? This goes back to the importance of selecting a specific customer, even though your technology or solution may be applicable more broadly than the singular customer. It's going to be important for this event and for the development of these materials that you focus on a single customer so you can more easily identify the benefits and the advantages that your solution will provide. The tech scouts are quite savvy and quite smart and will see value in what you are presenting to them beyond the customer that you have selected if they think that there is additional value there. So don't worry about that. Just focus on a single customer if you can. So again, a couple of examples. Company X here, improved access to specialty mental health care by removing geographic barriers. You know, obviously for a DoD customer that have troops and warfighters and workers across the globe, the value of being able to provide mental health care without concern for where the patient resides would be incredibly important. So Company Z, one of their benefits that they included was that it does not require Wi-Fi, which for a lot of different reasons, you could imagine the value of something like that. But I included this one because I don't think this one goes far enough. So why does the lack of necessity of Wi-Fi, what benefit does that provide a customer? So again, I just want you to think very specifically about what these benefits can do for the customer that you are trying to address or attract. And then if you can, if there's some sort of rendering or image that you could include that represents your solution, if you could include that in, frankly, in any of the quadrants, that would be great. This is a particularly valuable quadrant to put something like that in. So the next quadrant we're going to look at is the lower left quadrant, which is the history and performance of technology and the company. So this is the spot where you need to give a clear and honest understanding. The Tech Scouts a clear and honest understanding of the maturity of the product and the innovation, but also why should they trust you to deliver that solution to them, right? What are your qualifications or your company's qualifications that can indicate to them that you have the expertise and the capability to deliver a solution to the Department of Defense? So think about those types of things when you are completing this quadrant. Also think about your competitive advantages, right? What is it that you do that is not currently available or is better than what is currently available on the marketplace? So let's go into here, the status of the technology, demonstrations, relevant special features. You know, these are things like, do you have any patents? Are you working under a licensing agreement? Do you need or require FDA approval? And if so, where are you in that process? What is your plan for getting that if that is necessary? Do you have any specialty certifications or qualifications that will make you stand out? The relevant company background, again, is really here to demonstrate your capabilities and expertise, and in particular, stability. So if the Department of Defense decides that they want to work with you, how do they know that you are going to be here in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? So again, it's important to be honest, but also be clear in this. So this is a place where you can talk about your the founders or the scientific founder or the technical founder's expertise or leadership, their reputation, their qualifications. If you have an operational history, what does that look like? How long have you been in operation? If you are a startup, the Tech Scouts certainly understand that. That's one of the purposes of this type of event, is for them to get out there and find those early stage technologies that could be solutions for the warfighter. So it is okay to say you are a startup, you are just getting things pulled together. But if you are a startup, that's where the background of the individual founder or co-founder or developers are going to be incredibly important to demonstrate that expertise. Are there any unique attributes about your company? Excuse me. Is there any industry recognition? Do you have especially if you're a founder, have you been working in a affiliated industry for a long portion of your career? Do you have any accolades? Those sorts of things. So that's the sort of stuff you want to put in this section. And then finally, in the grants, awards, and government contract section, I do say prioritize federal because that's obviously something that is relevant to the technology scouts in particular. The other piece to this is that when you do have a history with federal funding, whether that's R&D grants or maybe even commercialization, SBIR opportunities, they're going to want an additional document from you. And that's going to be a point of contact, POC document that basically lists who did you work with at each of the funding agencies or organizations that you may mention here or in your other materials. The reason they want to see that is not because they're going to check in and see if you are being honest, but it's so that they don't replicate or duplicate and send you somewhere that may already be aware of your solution, innovation, and capabilities. So again, here we're talking about research grants, commercialization grants, SBIR, STTR, any contracts or subcontracts. In here, obviously, please also feel free to include the grants that are available in Nebraska, especially if you don't have federal funding. I think it is important to demonstrate that your technology has been recognized by a government organization and that you have been given funding if you have actually received that. So the next quadrant is the upper right quadrant, and this is probably the most challenging quadrant for many of us. It is really the who is your customer quadrant. And the importance of this, again, is what I said in the July 8th workshop, is that these technology scouts want you to demonstrate that you have an understanding of the Department of Defense, that you've done a little bit of your own homework, and you have identified who you think may be one of your best opportunity customer within the very large and complicated organization of the Department of Defense, or if there's another federal agency or department or organization that you think would be your best customer. This is, again, important because Josh and I will continually remind you that it is important to focus on a single customer so that you can clearly identify the benefits that they will derive from using your solution. Again, this is just an important part of this process to demonstrate to the scouts that you have really thought big picture about how your solution may be adopted, deployed, and used within their organizations. So there are a couple of ways that you can identify customers. One, if you have been doing research and you have connections to potential customers, or you have been working on your solution with a specific customer in mind, please feel free to use that customer. You do not need to select a combatant command or a community of interest. If you have somebody in mind, you know somebody, please feel free to use that as your customer designated. If you don't know where to start, there are a couple of options here. So the combatant commands, I've provided a link to a PDF. At the back of that PDF, you have several different charts that demonstrate show on the left side different technology categories, and across the top different combatant commands. Of course, here on the deltas of those things are the specific areas that those combatant commands have an interest in. This is a good place to start. If you can go on this chart and identify your technical category and subcategory, and then go across the line here. So we're looking at force protection and medical right here with the subcategory of medical. You can see each and every combatant command that is listed across the top here have some type of interest in this particular category. If you can find a fit for your solution in one of these very brief descriptors, you can then identify the combatant command that has that particular interest. I would then suggest going beyond this and going and doing a little bit more research. You know, Google is your friend on that particular combatant command or that particular need, in order for you to get a little more in-depth understanding of how that customer or why that customer or combatant command may have an interest in that particular solution. The other place to go is in the Defense Innovation Marketplace, which has those communities of interest that I mentioned in the July 8th presentation. Again, these are high-level technology categories that if you can find your particular category, I'm just going to stick with medical, so you go to the biomedical category and click on that at this Defense Innovation Marketplace Communities of Interest site. That will then further break down that biomedical category into several subcategories where, again, you might be able to find a fit for your solution and then use that fit and that description to do a little bit more research to fill in some of the blanks on the rest of this document and other documents moving forward. Some of those blanks and those gaps would be, what are the specific capabilities or packaging requirements or characteristics of your solution that relate to your specific community of interest or combatant command need or customer need? You know, what does your solution do, or what can it do for the customer? Some of the things to consider, and again, you know, what is the ultimate benefit this to the warfighter of your solution to the warfighter? But also, again, think about if you have been able to identify a particular combatant command or community of interest, where is your solution going to be used, right? What is the environment that it's going to be used in? How is it going to get there? These are questions that the technology scouts are going to ask you. So you need to think about, where does your solution fit into the workflow of the organization that you are hoping to work with, and take into the considerations, not only where it fits, but how does it get there? What are the impacts of that? Is there special training required for your particular solution? What does that training look like? How are the users going to get that training? All of these things need to be considered, because these are questions that you will be asked by the technology scouts. So again, this is why it is very important for you to identify as specifically as you can a unique customer within the Department of Defense or the federal government. And then finally, you know, why do they care? This quadrant is all about why should they care. Finally, the lower white quadrant is about the maturity, scalability, cost, and schedule. This is your ask. So I hope that you are thinking realistically about what it is and the reason for getting in front of the technology scouts. You know, it should be more than just sort of sharing a cool or innovative technology or solution. This should be about asking them for something, right? Whether it's funding or an introduction to a funding agency, or, you know, maybe you're a little earlier in the process and you need to run some tests or some pilots. Asking these tech scouts for connections to customers that could be those testing sites or sites for pilots, that's absolutely appropriate. But first we have to start off with your technology readiness level. So when you signed up for this event, hopefully you also completed, there was an Excel spreadsheet on the event website where you answered, I think, 7 pretty simple questions. And at the end, it spat out your technology readiness level, or TRL. All you need to do is put that TRL here on the chart. And the reasons for that is that, you know, this TRL level gives the scouts an idea of where do you fit in their ecosystem, right? You don't want them to connect you with somebody that is going to see your solution or the ultimate value of your solution and want to order 10,000 units in a month when you are still in the stage of, you know, prototyping. So the TRL is really important in terms of helping the Tech Scouts understand, again, where you fit. It also is going to provide them with some context for their feedback, their recommendations, and again, those socializations, making sure that the information that they provide you is also relevant to where you are in your stage of development. Oftentimes, especially if you're earlier in your development, they may offer suggestions or ideas of other directions you may want to take your solution that would be beneficial to someone in the DoD or federal government. And then very briefly, 1 or 2 sentences, briefly describe why you are at that TRL level that is specified. So it's just a starting point. It's just a guideline. That's all the TRL is. So important scaling features, how adaptable, this is 2 things, right? One is the solution itself scalable, how large or how small, how many, units can you produce quick over a certain period of time, but also the actual size and ability of the solution itself to scale as the customer needs it. If a customer does say, I need 10,000 units, are you as an organization able to do that? What would any constraints be to scalability of either the solution itself or your ability to manufacture or produce that solution? Be upfront and clear. They may be helpful in determining how you might eliminate some of those constraints or get around some of those constraints. Cost projections. So again, this is what you are asking for. Are you asking them for funding? Are you asking them for an introduction to get some testing done? Is it a combination of the 2? What is it going to take for you to get your solution into the hands of the warfighter? That's their ultimate goal. So what does that process look like? Right now, we're starting with step 1. What is the first step that you need to achieve in order to ultimately serve the warfighter at one point or another? So what is the final deliverable after your initial ask? How much is it going to cost to get there? And how long is that going to take to develop it and deploy that? Also, if you can provide some sort of context around a timeline for product development and deployment. So that's really it. That is the full review of the quad chart quadrants. Hopefully this was helpful. I understand everybody's going to have their own unique questions. So please feel free to reach out to me or to Josh with those questions. I think you all should have our email addresses at a minimum. And I look forward to helping you prepare for Technology Transfer Days in September. Take care.